Here are 4 timeless words. No sleep till Brooklyn, specifically Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, where today Scott Walker announced a plan to change the way Americans get their health care. He was at the Cast Screw Machine Products place today, and he revealed this plan. There are 4 big highlights to it, Al. I said place there. I'm sure that's not actually what it's called. Repealing Obamacare, no big surprise there. He says he's going to give age-based tax credits, not based on income level. You're going to get tax credits if you're uninsured, if you're on the older side. No individual mandate, obviously a huge thing for Republicans. He's going to let people buy insurance across state lines, and then he's going to reduce regulations in various unspecified ways. We could talk about the Medicaid parts of this too if you want, but first, just at the basic level, good policy, good politics for Scott Walker on this issue.
I think the politics are good for him, John, and particularly the primary politics, for a couple reasons. Number one, it's the most comprehensive health care plan yet from the GOP side, and there's been a lot of criticism of that. Secondly, Scott Walker has been portrayed as a one-trick pony. He's a union basher. Right. This broadens that, and he needed it this time. The policy probably is more problematic. Medicare he doesn't even touch on Medicare. That's the biggest part of health care. No cost. We don't know what the cost would be. Some of it's incredibly complicated. Right. Stuff about pre-existing conditions are much more complicated. And, you know, for all the criticism of the Affordable Health Care Act, 15.8 million people are insured today who weren't 2 years ago. Let's see how Walker's plan stacks up with that. But I think short-term politics pretty good.
Well, look, he's going to get a lot of credit from some people for being this specific. Right. And like, again, there are holes in this, and there are blank spots, there are things we don't know. But he has done something, as you point out, that he's a first among Republican presidential candidates. Come out with a big, bold plan with a lot of specifics. Marco Rubio, who wrote about his health care plan today in Politico, that he had previously issued a health care proposal that was very bare bones, not very well sketched out. This is much more detailed. I do think that you're right about the fact that the fact there's no price tag attached and the fact that he doesn't talk about Medicare. Those are 2 issues which are both big policy problems, but they also create political problems because he's eventually going to have to talk about them. He hasn't done it yet.
You're right, John. But this is the basic architecture that other Republicans will have to follow. Right. Some of the details will be different, but my guess is that he's sort of set the predicate for this debate with this plan today.
I do not understand this thing, and a lot of Republicans put this forward, but I do not understand the logic behind nationalizing the insurance market and saying, you know, let people buy across state lines, and then also at the same time talking about the virtue of federalism and having states get involved, especially on his Medicaid piece. He's got all kinds of state level, breaking into a lot of little programs, letting states have a lot of discretion over how it's administered in a lot of ways, and yet at the same time arguing for a big national insurance market. I don't get how those 2 things jibe.
Well, particularly on the state stuff, particularly since so many of the insurers are regional insurers. Right. So I think there are holes in this. There are holes in Obamacare. Yeah. Look, health care, everybody is against whatever people propose, but they want changes. So I give Walker credit, though. I think he has stepped up.
I'll tell you who I think is going to have a field day with this proposal is Ted Cruz, who I think is going to be when he gets around to coming out with what his Obamacare alternative is. He is going to take a much more radical posture, and it's going to be able to give him a place where he can get further to Scott Walker's right, which is going to be a problem for Walker down the line.
As a semi-wise man, namely me, wrote today, Ted Cruz is the most underrated candidate in the Republican field.
Wow. I wouldn't say you're semi-wise, Al. You're 100% wise. All right.